We're jumping into Chainsaw Man. So, disclaimer: if you're jumping here late, this is Chainsaw Man chapter 192 of the manga, of course.
92,
So,
not 192.
92. What did I say?
192?
92, just 92. So, spoilers right now. If you're not here, turn it off. Shit gets crazy in these last two chapters, and catch up to this when you're all caught up. All right, what do you think?
Don't be listening.
Hit me with it, Jay.
It's there's a lot of emotion in this. There's some emotions like when you're reading the first few pages, and I always forget her name, but the
Kobeni.
the DDR girl, what's her name?
Kobeni?
Yeah, her.
Yeah.
Where she's like talking and she's just like saying, "So I can't see my family anymore," and old dude is like, "Nope." She's like, "I can't call them." He's like, "Probably not." He's like, "I'm probably gonna die." Like, yeah. And then, but she's like, so you're like, "Oh man, that's pretty like rough." Like just that realization that your life's gonna be kind of on the run now. But then she's also like, now I have an excuse not to see him, and then that kind of throws you for a twist because you're like, what happened like family wise to her, you know?
Right.
So like that just hit me. Like I just like, I don't know, kind of like with Dabi, like these family dynamics can be so like detrimental to someone. Yeah, it could be worse than death for some people, depending on their situation. So it just like is really painful to see that for, you know, I have a great family, but like knowing that people go through these situations, and I mean, obviously not to this extreme where a woman with insane like powers can kill you, but just knowing that you would rather choose a life where you're facing a woman like Maki compared to just having to face your family.
I think it's and the way this chapter was led into, because as we saw the end of chapter 91 was kind of heroic in a way that we saw kind of like the rise of Denji getting up from that trash can and like giving his iconic peace sign, like he's ready. And then we had an extremely stark contrast. We have a very real moment. It's depressing. It's suffering. Like you mentioned, Kobeni is just like relieved that she doesn't have to speak to her family. So she's been suffering for so long. And this gives her an excuse. She's still scared, obviously, and but like you said, gives us a glimpse into her life. As we know from previous chapters, you know, she's pretty much just been indebted to her family for whatever reason. She's working this job to help fund her brother go to college. Her family bought her a car just so she can run errands and get gas and do that. So she's been kind of a slave to her family, which she mentions and she touches on when she's speaking to Denji. Denji says, you know, I just want to be normal. And like, he doesn't want to go through all the suffering. And then that's when you have that panel of Kobeni saying, isn't that just normal? And that breaks Denji. You know, Denji's kind of like one of his main goals was to be a normal person. And what he thought was normal was no worries, you know, no suffering, nothing of that kind, just being happy and go lucky. And then having this talk, like a wake up to this is how it is for some people. And this is how it is for most. You know, we all have our worries and shit. Was kind of like fourth wall breaking, because as a reader, you read and you're like, fucking shit, man. Like I said, you can relate to that. So I like what she says, like you can't escape that except in your dreams. And it's pretty fucking crazy. And we see kind of like, we just have a panel of like Denji kind of staring off to nothing, and then there's no words. You can tell he's just in shock. And it's so, it's like it's a void after that speaks a lot, though. That's super impactful. And that's what that's my highlight of this chapter, is kind of that realization, and having this character as Kobeni, like of all people to present it. Like, it could have been Kishibe, who was right there, but it was like Kobeni. Like, break it down like that was pretty was pretty crazy.
Yeah, and how Denji realizes that that's kind of, they are one and the same almost, because he's lived his life tied to the will of other people. He's always had to do what others have wanted him to do, you know. Even in his early beginnings, he was working for the mafia to repay his father's debt. So basically his whole existence has just been people telling him what, like he says, he's a dog. But then at the end of the chapter, you get them looking at the TV, and he's seeing how he's not normal. His actions have affected so many people's lives, where he might think he's just acting out other people's will, but in reality, he's been like saving so many. Like, we know damn well it wasn't Maki's intention for him to become this super celebrity that everyone just looks at as a hero. So you can see, like, through like his actions, he's also been doing little things like saving everyone along the way. You know, there was past chapters where he's talked about, or there's been interviews where people are talking about how Chainsaw Man saved him, and it kind of comes like full circle. Like, we're almost at that point where he's about to accept, like, I'm not normal. I've been a good person, and I've been putting forth like righteousness this whole time, even though I might feel like I've been a puppet in Maki's grand machinations.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting you had that point of view, because I saw it like when, because like she says you want, like Kobeni says you want to be normal, and like he does have the realization, I think right then and there, that he never will be normal because he is Chainsaw Man, and like through the actions you mentioned, like I think this is like there's no normal for him, and again his goal, one of his main goals, to be that normal person, was shattered in front of him. So in terms, I think you saw it in like a way of uplifting, but I'm reading it as like, holy shit, I'll never be normal, and this fucking sucks. Like, I'm Chainsaw Man, and he sees all these people cheering for him, Chainsaw Man, Chainsaw Man, and now he has responsibilities. He's now the hero to these people, and he doesn't want to be the hero to the people. I think maybe he did, but now that he is, and he understands the cost that comes with it, because now he's not ignorant and chooses to be dumb. He's like, holy shit, I will never have a normal life. Like, that's how I see it. That's how I read it.
You know, looking at it, like I'm looking at the last panel and where he's just staring at the TV. I can kind of see like your point of view now. Just he's got that blank face on, and it's kind of like, in his mind, if I were him, I'd just be like staring like, fuck.
Yeah.
It'd be like extra weight. So I actually maybe just
exactly
erase everything I said, bro.
No, that's cool. No, I'm glad that you know, that's I think that's one thing that's super fucking cool, is when you can have people that read something and they see it in a different perspective, especially when you're reading it, because like when we have things in animation, it's you can get it fed to you and you can tell what's going on for the most part, because there's music, ambient noise, you know, you get the emotion. But when you're reading it, like it could be total polar opposites, like what you just experienced right now. So that's pretty cool that you did see it that way, and now you can like flip and say, well, now I see it this way that you mentioned it. So yeah, man,
hopefully Denji just accepts it and can enjoy his fame. I don't know, I don't want him to be like hating it. Maybe that's where my mindset is. I don't want him to be like in pain because he's looking at it as a burden, not a blessing.
I think what will take place is he is going to see this as a burden, which he did right here, but the pleasure of the good things that came out of this would outweigh the burden, which is his relationships with Aki and Power and Puchita, and then maybe like a flashback to Reese or whatever. I think those will outweigh, and he will see like that's more important at the end of the day, and that will kind of maybe Kishibe will slap him into place. And get him going again, and see the good that he can do outweighs his own personal worry. And because I think it's like we talk about this when Denji, his character progression was like all just about like he was just lusting, boobs, sex, things like that. And then once he got it, he's like, this isn't what I thought it would be. And I think he's always just wanted like his family, like maybe that kind of love and adoration, which he got from Power and Aki. And then maybe as this transpires right now, like I mentioned earlier, like that outweighs the burden of it, and that is truly what he wants. But we'll see, man. The battle is yet to come.
Hopefully, he can translate that love he got from his friends, and then start to accept the love that he's getting from like the masses as equally as important.
Yeah.
So, and then I mean, we've seen those moments where all he really isn't, he wants is love. So hopefully he moves beyond seeing it as a burden and just recognizes it's all love.
Yeah, like I think back to when he jumped into the ocean to save Reese, Bomb Devil, after like she literally tried to kill him. And she's like, "Are you an idiot?" And he's like, "No, I just, this is how I feel." And so you can tell like failure. It's hard to think about like Denji is a teenager at this point in the story, so it's crazy. And like I think the same thing for Kobeni. It's just when you think about it, man, it's crazy. I keep saying that, but it's Chainsaw Man. What else do you want me to say? It's a crazy fucking series. But damn, when are we getting the Kobeni powers? I want to see her contract. Show me the contract.
Coming. Right?
Show me the contract.
Oh shit! We need to see it.
She got some sick dance moves. Maybe some dance is gonna be involved with it.
Some DDR.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Break it down.
Anxiety Devil.
Oh man,
that'd be crazy, right?
Anxiety Devil.
Talk about self-realization or self-aware.
That'll be the ultimate power.
But yeah, so I mean, that's where I think Chainsaw Man's going. You got anything for us?
Guess we'll see, bro. We're entering the end game. We're Doctor Stranging it.
Doctor Stranging it. As much as I like this, I really like the because there's been a lot of tropes out there where it's like there's a lot of like time, like you can go back in time, forward in time, different dimensions, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So I really like how this series is nestled in its own time frame. There is no going back. I get that devils can be reborn, but they lost their memories, and hopefully that isn't the case with Power. But I really enjoy like the weight of the deaths, and that's like really fucking cruel to say, I guess. But I like when there's like a lot of depth to these characters and massive emotion.
Yeah, I mean we've touched on that in past episodes. How mainly the Western comics versus manga, how in Marvel and DC there's not too much weight when a character dies, but just reading like through Chainsaw Man and Jujutsu Kaisen, there's countless manga where a death can mean they're gone, unless you're reading Dragon Ball. But a death is actually permanent.
Yeah.
So
or My Hero too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess we'll see, bro.
All right. Let us know what you think about Chainsaw Man, this most recent chapter. And how did you see that those panels get played? More like Jordan's original or like more like mine? So I'm gonna be curious to know. And thanks for watching that part.